Ada is discovered hiding in the woods by those who once held her captive. Having managed to flee during Chaik's assault on the village, she returns with trepidation, expecting retribution for the false accusations against her. However, to her astonishment, she finds the village still standing with an air of merriment. Rather than facing judgment for the alleged slaying of her younger brother, Emeka, Ada is escorted before the Council of Elders. Their solemn expressions and whispered deliberations leave her anxious, unsure of what fate awaits her. Yet, instead of condemnation, she is met with a surprising proposition to become the new queen of the village. This unexpected turn of events leaves Ada grappling with a mix of disbelief and uncertainty. Chaik was killed in the assault. You are the only surviving child of the late king, they explained. Later on, Ada's euphoria knows no bounds as she revels in her private chambers, her laughter echoing with the triumphant melody of victory. At long last, she stands atop the pinnacle of her aspirations, the rightful queen of her ancestral kingdom. With a manic gleam in her eyes, she relishes in the downfall of her enemies, a chorus of vindication resounding within her soul. But her moment of exultation is abruptly interrupted by the arrival of the High Elder, his solemn presence casting a shadow over her jubilant reverie. As he delivers the condition for her queenship with a steely resolve, Ada's initial shock quickly gives way to a simmering fury. The audacity of the demand strikes her like a dagger to the heart. Marry Obinna? The very thought is an affront to her dignity and lineage. Despite his prowess as the village wrestling champion, she cannot fathom joining her noble blood with one she deems beneath her station. Her protestations fall upon deaf ears as the High Elder's voice takes on a menacing edge, laying bare the harsh truth of their precarious situation. Obinna, with his enigmatic powers blessed by the gods, stands as the savior of their kingdom, his timely return, instrumental in thwarting Chaik's destructive rampage. As the High Elder coldly elucidates the reality of her role as a mere pawn in the game of power and legitimacy, Ada feels the ground shift beneath her feet. Her victory, once so sweet, now tastes bitter on her tongue as she grapples with the realization that her autonomy has been naught but an illusion. With a curt dismissal, Ada bids the High Elder farewell, her mind awash with tumultuous thoughts. The fact that she has been but a puppet dancing to the strings of fate since childhood weighs heavily upon her, suffocating her spirit with a sense of resignation. Alone in the silence of her chambers, Ada wrestles with the bitter truth of her existence. In the face of forces beyond her control, she is left to ponder her next move, her once indomitable spirit dimmed by the harsh light of reality. The chief priest sits in solemn contemplation, his youthful frame hunched with the weight of uncertainty. The silence of the gods hangs heavy around him, a stark contrast to the promises whispered in his ear of ascending to the throne of the kingdom. Questions swirl in his mind like restless spirits. Why have the gods forsaken him now when he needs their guidance the most? His thoughts turn to Obinna, a figure whose sudden rise to power unsettles him. Just 4 moons ago, Obinna had been nothing more than a local champion, but now he returns to the village as a formidable force, wielding strange magic imbued with the essence of the African gods themselves. With a sense of desperation tinged with bitterness, the chief priest pleads with the divine entities that have remained silent in the face of his turmoil. "Why have you forsaken me?" he implores, his voice echoing in the sacred space of his sanctuary. Despite his reluctance, the chief priest knows that time is running out. He is yet to grant his blessing for Obinna's coronation, just as he had withheld it from Emeka, Ada's younger brother, when he still drew breath. But with each passing moment, the pressure mounts. The High Elder's words lingered in the air as Obinna listened, a wry smile playing at the corners of his lips. To those on the outside, Obinna's journey appeared to follow the classic rags to riches narrative. Yet, for Obinna, success had always been an inevitability, a birthright whispered to him by unseen forces since childhood. Reflecting on his humble beginnings as the son of poor hunters, Obinna chuckled at the irony of his ascent. From a tender age, Obinna lived by a simple creed, to impress others. Blessed with a striking visage and a physique that commanded respect, he wielded his charm like a weapon, ensnaring both men and women alike with ease. The prospect of Ada, once distant and aloof, now becoming his wife, filled him with a sense of triumph. Memories of their teenage years flooded Obina's mind, recalling the frosty demeanor Ada and her brother, Emeka, had always maintained. But now, fate had dealt its hand, with Chike slain by his own blade and Ada poised to ascend the throne by his side. However, amidst the jubilation, a shadow loomed in the form of the chief priest's steadfast refusal to grant his approval. Obina knew that the chief priest's dissent posed a threat to his ambitions, a barrier that must be overcome. With determination burning in his veins, Obina resolved to find a solution to deal with the chief priest's opposition. For he knew that in the game of power and prestige, there could be no room for obstacles, only triumph or downfall. As days pass, Ada finds herself trapped in a web of harsh realities and grim choices. Though her pride rebels against the notion of marrying Obina, she knows deep down that resistance is futile. Haunted by the memory of her brother Emeka's mysterious demise, Ada understands the precariousness of her position. Refusal could not only seal her own fate, but also cast suspicion upon her, implicating her in Emeka's death. With a heavy heart and a sense of resignation, Ada resolves to accept her fate. She knows that survival demands sacrifice, even if it means swallowing her pride and bowing to the will of another. Summoning her courage, Ada visits Obina to convey her reluctant acceptance of his proposal. In the quiet intimacy of their meeting, Obina unveils his grand vision for the kingdom, promising to usher in a new era of prosperity and enlightenment. Though Ada's pride still stings, she sees a glimmer of hope in Obina's words. Perhaps, buried beneath the layers of ambition and manipulation, lies the potential for genuine change. With the decision made, the wheels of fate set in motion as preparations for the marriage ceremony begin. Ada steels herself for the inevitable, knowing that her future, and perhaps the fate of the kingdom itself, hangs in the balance. Amidst the festivities of the wedding, Obina seizes the opportunity to assert his dominance and solidify his hold over the village. With a flourish of charisma, he publicly confronts the chief priest, boldly proclaiming himself as the vessel of the true god's power. As shocked murmurs ripple through the gathered crowd, Obina unveils a display of supernatural abilities, a manifestation of the divine forces he claims to wield. With every awe-inspiring feat, his influence over the villagers solidifies, casting a shadow of doubt over the chief priest's authority. In a calculated move, Obina cunningly exploits the chief priest's silence from the gods, using it to bolster his own legitimacy. With the chief priest unable to match his displays of power, Obina declares his union with Ada as sanctioned by the divine, leaving the chief priest burning with rage and humiliation. Defeated and ostracized, the chief priest retreats from the village, his heart heavy with the weight of his shattered beliefs. With a vow to seek the face of the gods and reclaim his honor, he sets out on a journey into the unknown, leaving behind a village forever changed by the whims of power and ambition. As the months pass, Ada remains vigilant, acutely aware of the precariousness of her position as Obina's queen. She understands all too well that her marriage to him serves as a mere facade, a means to legitimize his reign and satisfy his ambitions. With each passing day, she feels the specter of her potential replacement looming ever closer. Yet, amidst her apprehension, Ada's keen observations reveal a curious phenomenon surrounding Obina. She notices subtle changes in his demeanor and appearance, how he seems to radiate with an otherworldly glow, only to gradually wither and weaken over time. He disappears for a few days a month and reappears with that otherworldly glow. Intrigued and alarmed by this mysterious transformation, Ada resolves to delve deeper into the enigma surrounding her husband. With a quiet determination, Ada embarks on a clandestine investigation, piecing together clues and unraveling the threads of Obina's secret. She observes his comings and goings, noting the pattern of his strange disappearances and subsequent returns, each time with a renewed vitality and vigor. As the chief priest embarks on his solitary journey, A sense of relief washes over him as the voices of the gods once again grace his consciousness. However, his relief quickly gives way to anger as he confronts the divine entities that had remained silent during his time of need. With a mixture of frustration and indignation, the chief priest demands answers from the gods, only to be met with a stern rebuke. They remind him that power and glory are not bestowed upon mortals without cost, admonishing him for his presumption and arrogance. In a moment of begrudging humility, the chief priest listens as the gods impart to him the recipe for a secret and potent ritual, a path fraught with peril and sacrifice, but one that promises to negate Obina's powers and grant him the strength needed to reclaim his rightful place. With renewed purpose and determination, the chief priest sets out on a quest that will take him to the farthest reaches of the world. Guided by the cryptic instructions of the gods, he traverses lands both familiar and foreign. Drawing upon the depths of his arcane knowledge, he channels his restored powers to possess Chaik's uncle, repurposing the remnants of Chaik's army into a formidable force dedicated to gathering the rare and elusive materials required for the ritual. Obina began plans for a huge conquest. His vision was so grand and complex that he felt he had to micromanage the preparations. This means he spent more and more time without rejuvenating himself from the source of his power. Only Ada noticed his weakness. When Obina finally disappeared, Ada's suspicions led her to follow him, determined to uncover the truth behind his mysterious source of power. After numerous clandestine attempts, she succeeded, tracking him to the nearby mountains where she discovered the sacred cave he had kept hidden for months. Knelt in front of a strange altar, Ada knew he was about to perform a ritual that would make him brim with power. Knowing he was currently at his weakest, she seized her opportunity. With a mixture of determination and trepidation, she delivered a fatal blow with a stone to his head, ending his life. With Obina's lifeless body at her feet, Ada stood in awe before the wonders of the cave, filled with a magical aura and adorned with precious artifacts of gold and jade. In the hushed stillness of the chamber, she realized the magnitude of her discovery, a newfound source of power and potential that lay within her grasp. As she gazed upon the treasures that lay before her, Ada knew that her journey was far from over. With Obina's demise, a new chapter had begun, one in which she would wield the forces of destiny to shape the future of her kingdom, guided by her own will and determination. And with a resolve as unyielding as the mountains themselves, Ada stepped forward into the unknown, ready to claim her rightful place as the true ruler of her realm. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for part 3.